Fracty Fox, and welcome to Arsenal Update number 11. So let's go check out what's new. But before I do, I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters. Over 110 of you guys now, which is crazy. Thanks to becoming a Patreon supporter, you really help support the channel because, as you know, YouTube pays me very little for these Minecraft Multi-Force videos. And you can have access to download the Arsenal world, which includes this one, which I recently actually revamped. I added another row because whenever I kept adding vehicles, I had to like shift my whole entire collection, and also changed up the categories and made it more organized. So first off, we're looking at the M1A2 Abrams Tank. This is the Set V3 version of it, and I recently overhauled the design, just a little minor updates. I kind of standardized it, so mainly the difference was like the turret shape here in the front and a little bit here in the back as well. So here's the standard Set V3 version of it. And then here I have it with the crows, which is the automatic remote weapon station right there. And then here it's with tusk armor on the sides. And then here I have the backwards in transport mode if you want to put on a train. And I also have one where they have the OD green, which is like this brown color on the side and then green on top. I've seen it in a parade in Poland, so that is kind of a new thing the army's doing. And another thing, here's the standard woodland camouflage, iconic, so I have that as well. And since it's the M1A2, it is going to be different from the M1A1SA that I have for the Ukrainian version, because it doesn't have that CITV camera that was on the side, the thermal imager. And I also have the Australian Abrams tank, so the camouflage is very different. It's like this tan, green, and then black, so it's quite interesting. And it's also the Set V3 version, which is the latest one, replacing their M1A1. So this is the latest one in their collection as well. Another new addition is the CV90. So I actually have the Norwegian CV90-30N, and N stands for Norway. Now I know CV90, that's like Swedish, but I built this because some guy on the server, Sean, is actually operating one of these in the Norwegian army, so I decided to build it for him. They also made one converted for Ukraine, so this is a CV90-40. So you can see that bonnet here folded back in the back, and the triangle markings on sides because it is for Kursk. I also have the South Korean APC. This is the K808 White Tiger. So yeah, here's their camouflage. I've been wanting to build something from the ROK for quite a while. And here's also the 6x6 version of it, so it's called the K806, so it has one less axle. Pretty much the same though. And then right over here, I actually finished up the BTR-3E1. So it's kind of hard to find pictures of these, so I did have to watch a lot of like from parades mainly. And then here I finally finished that up. Also finished up the Kamaz tank transporter, and recently it's been shown in the Moscow parade. And then here is it with a T-34 tank. So yeah, they're for hauling that. And yeah, the trailer for this is actually quite tall. You can see how tall this part goes in comparison with the other ones. I also added the Ukrainian F-16AM. So this is donated by Denmark and the Netherlands. And it's actually an older version of the F-16, so it doesn't have this antenna that's in front of the vertical stabilizer like on the F2 or the F-16 C and D. Another difference, of course, is the Ukrainian Randalls on the wings and banner on the tail, and the rear stabilizers are painted light gray. I also have the Japanese Self-Defense Force F-15J made by Mitsubishi, and yeah, they have a red meatball sun here right there, and also on the wings. And they also have these ECM antennas underneath, so that's one of the main differences, as well as these things on the tails, and also the color scheme. That's how you can kind of tell J15 F-15J. I also added another ATZ-5 fuel truck. It's the Ural, and it's like for Russian army. So you can see it's a little bit different from the Ukrainian one right here. Also another thing is like the Urals, they have differences with the engine. Some have this like black thing on the side. And if you want to look at our military trains, that is off all the way to the left hand side now. And I added like all the stuff from the other worlds as well from World 1. So now I can have all our military stuff in one world. So here I had the US military train transporter here. Got these empty flat cars, as well as the Russian trains right over here, which is hauling all of that stuff. I also updated the FMTV, the US Army trucks, which is essential. and I added a whole lot of variations of it. You know, already I had the ones with the A kits, which look like this, pretty common. But here's like the older versions that's unarmored, Stewart and Stevenson's like that. And I also have the base system, which is the grill is a little bit different. But in Minecraft, it's not a big deal. It's only like a 2-block difference, or maybe 4 blocks. So I only made 2 versions of that. The rest are just Stewart and Stevenson's. So here I have it in camouflage, and there's different versions of it, like the 4x4, 6x6 wheels, and then these ones in the back, they have tarps. Then here I have a row all in tan. And I also made the trailers for them right here. So yeah, it'll definitely be really nice to have if you're making a US Army convoy or base. We also have the M1088. This is the tractor unit to pull trailers. So here I have the 8-kit version, the green version, the tan version, and the camouflage version. So yeah, all these different versions to pull these trailers, which I have a whole pack right here. You can see there's a bit difference. Like this one's like kind of flat, while this one has a little bit of step up here in the front. And if you guys actually want to see in action, here's how that looks like. So this one with the ray section, it looks pretty normal, but the ones that are shorter, they actually like slant upwards when you're pulling it, so just be aware of that. We also have the C-47 Skytrain, and this is the one, it's called That's All Brother, still exists today, and is leading this big giant formation on D-Day, the Normandy landings. Has the invasion stripes, W on the tail. Yeah, this is a brand new 2025 design. It's been sitting in my yard for so long, so I finally took the time to finish it up. And then right over here, this is the Magura V7. It's an anti-air sea drone, and they put some AM-7 Sidewinder missiles. And recently, it shot down an Su-30SM, which is like the first time we've seen that from a naval drone, so that was pretty cool. Then right over here, we have the Kronshtadt Orion UAV. It's a Russian drone. So here's regular one, and also made the Orion-E for export. So the white head's a lot bigger in the front. I also added a green version for the M1150 assault breacher vehicle. So now it's in green, it's pretty much the same. A little tiny update I did to the original model though, I just added this sign here to side the plow. And I also added the blades when it's raised up, because that is a little tiny detail I missed and when I originally made it. So yeah, here is how they look like. And Ukraine does in fact employ the green ones. They can use that for their armory as well. Alright, and then an update on CVN-71 USS Theodore Roosevelt, our Nimitz aircraft carrier. Now everything is going according to plan. It's just really painful to make this. It's just so much work. Still not done yet. But let's go over what's new about this. So the main thing I finished up this time was to arrest our cable wires. So this was a really pain to make everything line up, because it was very hard to do this. So here is the eventual completed version, and still a little bit off. Like ideally this thing would be a little bit to the left to match up with the other ones, but that really didn't make sense with the way I lined things up on my model. But maybe it's a bit weird in real life, I don't know. Then we also added these red and white lines that go across, and then this kind of splits off in the middle. I had to make this like 10 times redoing it. I also added lines here in front and actually changed it so it like alternates the colors. And here's a shout out to Needles right over here. He always checks up on my stuff. So I did alternate the colors, so this one's white and this one's red. And I also add these like little hatches on the sides, which I don't know, I guess they're like maintenance hatches for the steam catapult. I'm not exactly sure. And I also added a ton of detail here on the side, so all this like stuff I had to build, blah blah blah. And I did also work a little bit on this side as well. And this part I need to fill that in. And here's a look at how the weapon stations are doing. Did add in the white markings as well in the red parts. Here's a look at this side, the whole, yeah, it's coming together quite nicely. And here's a look at the outside of the elevators so far. Today, early this morning, I was working on this part. As you can see, it's quite complex. And let's see for the other one. Here's how it's looking on this side. And then here's what it looks like right over here in the back section. So yeah, this whole back section is really nice so far. And I started adding all these details right over here. I also added the inside of the blast shields, so it's red. Found that out. I also worked a bit on the interior. So if you go here in the back, we have this room here. Initially, I was going to put like a little bit of stuff here, but this time I actually fleshed it out a whole lot more. So now it looks like a full room. And then here they store the engines for the jets. And then here in the hangar, I did a lot of work on this, like how the lamps align and all that stuff. And you know, all this detail. Here's how the hangar looks like so far. But of course, there's lots of stuff that's empty, like over here. I need to fill up this whole section. And then in the back, you know, I adjusted this section because I figured out these lamps weren't lining up, so I moved this to the left. Made the front area wider, and I built all of this in the past couple of days. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks again to the Patreon supporters, all 112 of you guys, for supporting the channel. And if you want to become a patron, we can download my maps. Check out the link in the description. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.